Hyde Park Brass is a brass band from Leeds, Hyde Park in Leeds in the UK. I caught them live last week, gonna do a little review of that, as well as their debut album, which also dropped that same night that I saw them live. There are a lot of members in this band playing all the instruments you'd expect in a brass band: saxophone, trombone, drums, everything along those lines. They are incredibly fun, honestly. They are extremely fun. Like, I saw these live with some friends, didn't know anything of them, but they are quite big in the Leeds scene. Like, they will sell out their gigs because of the student life in Leeds that is very brimming, and they all know this band, and even though they probably don't listen to anything like this, they have managed to cross over to quite a decent sized audience, considering how unique their sound is. Many decades ago, like in the 30s, 40s, 50s and 60s, this was the in thing, of course, but to be in 2018 and to see an entire room of people jumping up and down to some brass band music, does kind of make me pretty happy, honestly. However, this is incredibly accessible brass band music. This isn't experimental, weird stuff that you'd hear from like Colin Stetson or anything like that. This is actually really fun, energetic, quite poppy at times as well. They have a cover of the song Turn Me On by Kevin Little. You know that song. You got me going crazy, turn me on, and they even have a dancehall anthem called Ready, which went over really well live. Every track, honestly, I was pretty much dancing to. I had a lot of fun, and even in the studio, a lot of these tracks do sound good on this album as well. I do think live is better, but that's not really a fair criticism. It's pretty lazy to say that, because obviously anything in music that you like will sound live better generally, unless the band or artist you're seeing in question is absolutely shit. But if you enjoy the music, you're probably gonna like it live. But it just turns out that I heard this music live first, so I feel like just hearing the album is just a little less exciting and exhilarating as it was live. But tracks like Obelisk, Porter and Ready do sound equally as good in the studio. I think they are recorded at a very high quality. All the instruments are just brimming with sound, and it's just joyous to hear. I feel like anyone going into this album without knowing who Hyde Park Brass are will still get something out of this, and I can definitely imagine that this band will cross over in festival lineups pretty soon. They're gonna definitely break out of the Leeds scene. They already kind of have. They have a cover of I Like to Move It, which is honestly a bit chitsy. It's a bit corny. It was live too, but just the way people were going crazy for this, honestly, was just like, holy shit. And even if that isn't my kind of thing, I still was a bit like, it's kind of fun. I can't deny this. This is still fun. They're making the original sound a bit more livelier, even though the original is very livelier, but just with everything, like the saxophones playing as well just sounds fucking great. In the live performance, they also did a cover of One Dance by Drake. And the one thing about that song I always thought, it just sounded a bit too empty, like, especially considering it's considered a dancehall song. Like, there isn't enough to it to be a dancehall song at all. It's just got a really basic fucking beat that you can make on a Casio keyboard, and there's barely anything else added. But their version just gives it everything it needed. It desperately needed all of the brass instruments thrown in to give it the flavour that it originally needed. I mean, it fucking needed something, that song. I'm not a fan, honestly. Drake fans seem to love it. But, this version, I can guarantee, is way better. Dancehall has a lot more to offer than what the mainstream has been showing over these past few years. And I'm relying on Hyde Hyde Park Brass to throw in a few more tracks in the future that give dancehall the flavour that it's missing, because honestly, again, these renditions that they do live, the tracks that are dancehall anthems sound great, and everything else that they did was just so fun. So if you're living in the UK, and actually if you happen to be in Leeds at any point, do check out to see if Hyde Park Brass are playing, because I can guarantee this will be a fun night that you won't forget. And yeah, the album itself is pretty good too, only like 27 minutes long. Definitely go listen to that. I highly recommend it. And yeah, that is it. Hopefully hear more from these guys in the future, and hope you enjoyed the review. So subscribe to the channel for more reviews, interviews, podcasts, track reactions, all that music shit. Have a shit day. No. Have a good day. Have a good